Not his man, not your man, not her man, but my man Godfrey. Directed by Gregory LaCava. See his name over there up in lights, in fake lights on the cover of the Criterion Collection DVD? Yeah. Hello there, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection reviewer guy, person with number 114, My Man Godfrey. The definitive screwball comedy, as this thing says. I guess I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, I thought Monsieur Hulot's Holiday was the definitive screwball comedy, but I guess screwball comedy is more than just slapstick, just mime and all that. You gotta have some snappy dialogue, which this movie does. It has some very intelligent dialogue. It's a great, great story. 1936, 93 minutes, black and white English, after all this time, an English film. Anyway, so let's talk about it. We got William Powell, who plays Godfrey, the forgotten man, if you will, who lives in the city dump and is picked up by a girl named, what is her name? Cornelia Bullock. Cornelia Bullock on a scavenger hunt. He's supposed to bring back a forgotten man for $5. And so he says no, and then so he pushes her into an ash pile, and so meanwhile her younger sister, what is her name? Irene Bullock keeps him company and asks him the same thing, but a little more kinder, and doesn't necessarily bring on the idea of money, from the get-go, as if Godfrey really needed the money, And so out of curiosity, he goes to the hotel with her, and Irene wins the scavenger hunt, and she says, "Oh, is there something I can do for you?" And Godfrey says, "Well, do you have a job?" And so she hires him as the butler, and so the next day they're all hungover, and Godfrey comes in and meets the maid Molly, who's a really kind of a smart, wise guy kind of maids, who ends up falling for Godfrey toward the end, which is kind of cool. She comes all soft on him and all that. And so he ends up meeting the mother, who's just a really jibber jabber, but she sees pixies when she's hungover. Then he meets Cornelia, who is really, get out, get out, get out! And then Irene again, and she remembers him, and she takes him on as her protege. She keeps calling her protege, meanwhile her mother has the hilarious Carlo as her protege. Carlo is a guy who just basically eats their food and sings weird Italian songs on their piano. Their father, Alexander Bullock, doesn't want any part of that. All he's concerned about is how they're spending her money, riding horses into the parlor and stuff like that. So Godfrey kind of, lives on, and Irene ends up falling for him, and meanwhile he's like, no, we can't have any of that. I'm the butler, you're the person who lives in the house and all that. And so he tries to, keep their relationship distance. Meanwhile, Cornelia doesn't want anything to do with it, and she ends up hiding a necklace of hers in underneath the mattress of his bed, and he's going to frame her for it and all that, and that happens later. But before that, they end up, they have this dinner party, and one of his old friends, what's his name, Tommy Gray, recognizes Godfrey as an old friend from college, and he has to make up this fabrication that Godfrey has to make up this fabrication that he was married and he has 5 kids, and when Irene finds out about this, she's really upset. So she ends up totally snap making up an announcement that she's getting married to some guy who's over by the drinks and all that. And when that breaks off, she goes to Europe and tries to forget about him. And when she comes back, Godfrey has been trying to take care of things while they're gone. And anyway, as he ends up they finally Cornelia eventually comes clean and says, where are my pearls? And so they call the cops, and they look everywhere, and actually, I think that was actually that was yes, shortly afterwards is when Cornelia ends up meeting Godfrey at a cafe, and afterwards he comes home really drunk, and so she calls the cops and says, "Oh, where are my pearls or where my necklace?" And so the cops search his room, and she reveals, "Oh, you should look under the mattress and all that." So they look, and they're not there. So she's like, "Wait a minute, where are they?" And she kind of reveals that she kind of put them there. And so I think after that is when they go on Europe, and when she comes back, um, Godfrey reveals to, actually Alexander reveals to the family that they're broke, that all his stock went into bad places and all that. And so Godfrey comes in and says, "Oh, I bought the stock from you, and so and he gives him back the stock endorsed in Alexander's name, and he reveals that he had the pearls, and he used the pearls to help get the stock and gold and stuff like that. And so when Cornelia finds out about this, she's totally dumbstruck, and she says, "I took the pearls, I planted them, and said they're yours." And he says, "No, no, no, they're yours." And so she actually starts crying, and it's the most real thing that finally sees Cornelia cry. And so he says, shortly after, Godfrey says, "I've got to go. I've done my piece here." And so he takes off, and it's revealed that he actually turned the city dump into a nightclub called The Dump, which is a hilarious title. Meanwhile, Irene comes in and says, "Hey, where'd Godfrey go? Godfrey, he's left. Oh, where is he?" And so she goes back to the city dump, thinking that he's still there. And when she sees The Dump, it's like, oh my gosh, where is everything? So she goes into his office, and he and Tommy are talking business, and Tommy wants Godfrey to marry Irene, and Irene comes in and just like totally like takes over and says, "Whoa, I don't like that. Oh, we're gonna have to change that and all that." And Godfrey just tries to just totally dumbfounded by the whole thing, and so she ends up bringing in a guest who is sitting outside, who just happens to be a justice of the peace with no license, and so he comes in and marries them, and he just, that's basically how the movie ends. The last line is like, "Oh, don't worry, Godfrey, it'll be all over in a minute." Which just goes to show you, I think Carole Lombard is just the craziest woman. It's definitely a real trip. And it's really sad because I've been listening to the Jack Benny program, and Jack and Carole Lombard were really good friends, and it was really sad to hear the episode where Jack had to just not appear on the show when she died in that plane crash. So to finally see a performance of hers is a real trip. But yeah, that's about the size of My Man Godfrey. And it's funny when my mom, she loves movies, especially old movies like this. And when I told her, that My Man Godfrey was in the Criterion Collection, she was like, "Oh my gosh, man, that's a great movie. That's one of my favorites." So I said, "You know what, Mom? Why don't you do the review? Well, then you got to do the review with me." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And so I'm like, I try to say, "Come on, Mom, let's do it. Let's do it." And so she's like, finally said, "Okay, so come on in, Mom." Mom, good, glad you're here. All right, so My Man Godfrey, you've seen it a bunch of times, and it's one of your favorite films of all time now. What's your favorite thing about My Man Godfrey?
William Powell. I love William Powell.
Yeah, because you're a big fan of the Thin Man,
yeah. Thin Man series.
The Thin Man isn't in the Criterion, but maybe someday. Maybe someday they'll get off their butt and do it.
And Carole Lombard's amazing too. The two of them together are just they're magic in the movie.
Yeah, no, it's a trip. I didn't know. You told me that they were married before, and I didn't know that.
Just for a couple of years, but yeah.
And it's weird, just like, and you said it was like 33 when they broke up or so.
32. I think.
32, yeah. So the movie was 36. So yeah, to see them come back together and play a couple who. I think that was actually one of my favorite scenes was when she after she has the quote unquote spell and she kisses him toward the beginning,
right?
And she does the whole
thing, get him to move closer to her. Yeah,
I thought that was one of the best kisses I've ever seen on the screen. Yeah, so Yeah, no, I think I think it was it was a really trip to see them too. I think Carol Lombard is slowly becoming, I think, one of my quintessential like screwball like girl.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucille Ball was awesome too. Is
Wow.
awesome, was and blah blah blah.
Right.
But I think, I think with her, it kind of took I Love Lucy to bring that out of her.
Yeah.
All the movies she did a lot of like dramas and
Right.
crime
And the
noir.
comedies she did were not anything like. They were semi-screwball, but you wouldn't really call them screwball.
No,
Totally,
no.
so, yeah.
I mean, unless you count the Three Stooges, the Three Stooges short, the
Yeah.
Three Little Pigskin
That's
she
right.
was in.
She was in that one.
So, yeah, no, and what is your favorite scene?
Oh my gosh, there's too many.
Yeah.
I love the scene. I love the maid. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Molly,
can't remember
yeah.
Molly. I can't remember
Yeah.
what the actress's name is, but she's hilarious in it when Godfrey first gets there, and she's keeps like putting his coat by the doors and stuff because
Yes.
she's sure
Yes.
that as soon as he has anything to do with this crazy Bullock family, he's gonna want to split like all the other butlers. So those are all hilarious. And then later on, when Irene is crying and she comes into the kitchen and she realizes, then the maid they start talking about Godfrey, about how much they both love Godfrey, and the maid starts crying, and that's hilarious too. There's the whole movie from start to finish for me is amazing. It's a great movie.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna have to probably pick that up for the Criterion sale. This is one that's going into the collection. This is a keeper. Yeah, it's a keeper.
Yeah.
I give it. Oh great. I gotta give it an A. Because yeah, it was awesome movie. And yeah, that's about the size of it. So yeah, you don't know anything about the supplements. So anyway, but thanks. Yeah, thanks for doing your little
Put
thing.
my 2 cents in.
Yeah, thanks for putting my 2 cents, your 2 cents in rather. And yeah, no, I'm just glad that I don't know what the next one is, and we'll see. Oh, we'll see you in 6 years for It Happened One Night.
Another of my favorites.
Number 720. Actually, no, like I said, it's not out yet. Oh, I think it's coming out this week. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, thanks for doing the review.
Okay.
All right. Oh wait. It'd be easier if I probably clapped you out here.
Okay.
All right. She took the chair too. Oh, good. All right. Okay. So supplements. What are we talking about? Supplements. Oh, there's some outtakes, really trippy outtakes about them, screwing up their lines, and Carol Lombard cursing, and William Powell and Alex. What is his name? Eugene Pallette, who played Alexander. Them cursing and all that. That was a trip and a half. Good God. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of foul language, when actors used to flub their lines and all that. So there's that. There's two little newsreel footage things about the Forgotten Man and the Great Depression and all that. And of course there's the trailer, and of course there's the Lux Radio Theater adaptation of My Man Godfrey from 1938, 2 years after the film, which actually brought back William Powell and Carol Lombard came back into their thing. Gail Patrick came back as Cornelia, and I think Mishka Auer, I think he was the guy who played Carlo, and I think he came back and reprised his role. And yeah, but none of the other actors, I don't think, reprised their roles. Yeah, definitely not Eugene Pallette. I would remember that voice. He's got such a great, like, almost American, but too snooty to be like true American, kind of voice. But yeah, just like all the others, it's hard to listen to these and after watching the movie and think, okay, how are they going to condense all that into an hour, or 50 minutes, with all the commercials and stuff like that. So yeah, it loses something, listening to it. They cut out a lot with the scavenger hunt, and I think they cut down. I'm trying to think of what they cut down, like especially like reading the little newspaper headline that says, "Oh, they're in Europe." They have to explain it via Alexander and Godfrey, who stay behind on the trip, And so, yeah, it kind of loses something, but it's still kind of cool to hear. I mean, I don't think Carol Lombard is in no way I think her better performance was definitely on the screen. Though the interview at the end with Cecil B. DeMille and all that was really cute, and Carol's hilarious, and William Powell. I think that's another thing I like about William Powell is deadpan, how deadpan he is throughout the film. And yeah, I think he delivers it pretty well here too, but just not as well as on the screen. So, but still, I like that Criterion adds them to the thing because I love hearing old radio things. Yeah. So yeah, that's the size of it. And yeah, that's it. My Man Godfrey, getting it soon. All right. So next on the bill, we got coming up soon. We got Rafifi. We got Rafifi next. Like I said, that'll be Friday probably, and hopefully by then I'll have a version with a case. You want to see this nasty disc. And then and after that, Hidden Fortress and Diary of a Chambermaid, and then Sullivan's Travels, and then With Nail and I, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully by then I'll have How to Get Ahead in Advertising, and all our problems will be solved, and good. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Don't ride your horses into, the parlor, and don't be a scavenger hunt and find forgotten men. Don't be a forgotten man, and don't hide your necklaces under mattresses, and yeah, that's the size of it. And don't sing weird songs on the piano. Oh, and don't be a monkey for Irene. Don't be a gorilla. Don't do the gorilla. Just don't do it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you sometime later this week, probably Friday, for Rafifi. And until then, goodbye.